Hello, everybody. This is Beta Phase, and welcome to my world. We are on episode 4 of All the Farms. Episode 3, last episode, we got our villager breeder done, and we've started breeding up some villagers for today's project, which is going to be an iron farm. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm sitting in a boat with a pillager in a dirt cave. Well, these guys could be quite handy for the iron farm. And a very useful bit of trivia here. If you trap one of these guys in a boat and then you climb into the boat along with them, they will continually try to shoot you. They'll keep shooting their crossbow at you. However, since you're in the boat with them, you're too close to them and they can't actually hit you. And so eventually they're either going to run out of arrows or their crossbow will break, and at that point they're rendered harmless, and you can use them for whatever you need to. And so that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm waiting for this guy to use up all of his arrows, and then we'll be able to use them in today's project. We've gotten a little bit of work done on the base here. Whoops. Got a little bit of work done here on the base. I've decided that it's time to start getting our storage a little more organized. We were starting to get a little bit of a shulker monster down there, and so I decided to nip that in the bud. We have a little minecart elevator here. We've got a minecart. It sits on this ladder here. So we just come up under here, click on the minecart to move up, and there we are. Over here we've got all of our stone and building blocks like that. On this side we've got wood, and then here in the middle we've got just general stuff, armor, weapons, and drops, gems, that kind of stuff, mob drops, stuff like that. And we've also moved our lays up here to keep them out of trouble. Eventually we're going to have to figure out how to get the horse up here too, I think. Maybe make a little place for him up here. But anyway, I've got everything that I need for the iron farm, and so we're going to pop into a time lapse for that. Actually, let's see, where are we going to put this thing? I want to put it a little ways away. We don't want them interfering with the villager breeder or the villager breeder interfering with the iron farm, and so we're going to have to put that ways away from where our villager breeder and our trading hall are going to be. Also, the villagers and these guys, the pillagers, you can tell they're kind of noisy. And so I don't want to have to be listening to that all day. And the golem's dying. Yeah, I think this looks pretty good. Alright, so we are going to get into the time lapse. I'm going to get this thing built, and then we can explain a little bit of what's going on with it. Well, we have the first stage of our iron farm done here. Let's just switch over to camera mode. This is going to be a 4-times speed iron farm. The way that this works is that we will have our villagers and our pillagers in each of these little pods. They will create the golems. They will spawn in these water streams and get pushed down the center and then down here into this lava chamber here. The water will push them over into this corner where they will catch on fire um, and die. Then they will drop their poppies and their iron into that hopper, and that'll filter down through the chests. We are going to need more storage because this is a pretty productive farm. Let's pop over into creative mode, or my creative world, and we'll kind of explain the mechanics behind this. So for the iron farm mechanics, there's a couple of things that you need. First off, you need a villager village, and that is defined by at least 3 villagers. Also, the villagers need to be able to sleep. Now that doesn't require them to sleep through the whole night. Just popping in and out of the bed is considered enough for them to sleep. The goblin spawning mechanic, that is actually a protection response, a defense response by the villagers. If the villagers feel threatened by, say, a zombie or a pillager patrol, they will spawn a zombie. Or not a, they will spawn a golem to help protect them. And so if we grab a zombie, actually, let's put a roof over his head so he doesn't burn. And there's our zombie. Now you can see that they're all running around like crazy because they're panicked. And actually, let's fix this because a zombie could spawn. Okay. So those are the first requirements. Then also, of course, we need a place for the zombie to spawn. So we need a full block somewhere, or a platform of full blocks that the zombie can appear on. Now the distance here, I've mapped it out in this glass. It is roughly a 16 by 16 along the horizontal, and vertically 6 blocks above and 6 blocks below. So if there are any full blocks in this area here, then a golem can spawn on those blocks. So if we let's see if we can get us a zombie here. Sorry. See if we can get us a golem here. And there he is. He fell down. There's our golem. Now the other mechanic that we have to take into account is the villagers can sense if there is a golem nearby. If there is a golem within this 16 by 16 area, within this spawn area, they will not spawn another golem. And somehow they just happen to know that they're there. Otherwise, they will try about every 30 seconds or so to spawn a new golem. So if we move this guy out of here, out of this area, come on, there we go. He's out of their detection range, and we should get another golem. Oh, and there we go. There's our next golem, and he's going after this zombie here. And so for now, we could set up a little killing chamber down here to kill the zombie, or to kill the golem, to get the iron that he would drop. But that takes time, and as long as that golem is still alive, these villagers won't spawn another one, and so it slows down your production rates. So what we want to do is get the golem out of this 16 by 16 area as quickly as possible. And there's a couple of ways of doing that. We will be using water streams to wash him, the spawn golem down 16 blocks away from these guys so that they can spawn another one right away. But that is essentially all that you need for the iron farm. Those are the main components. Now also, as long as these guys are panicking, they will not sleep. And so at some point you need to be able, to cut off the line of sight from the villagers to the zombies so that they can sleep for a few seconds each night. Now the farm that we're doing, it has 4 of these little modules set up, and they are outside of the radius of each other so that they can independently spawn golems and then drop them through the water streams and down into the killing chamber. So let's head back. As you can see, we've got the 4 pods here that we will have our villagers in, and then we are going to use the pillagers that we pacified in here. The pillagers, if you can get them, are much nicer to use than the zombies. The zombies are easier to catch, but the pillagers, they don't light up on fire when you during the daytime, and so they're easier to transport. Plus, if they get loose, they won't kill your villagers because they no longer have any weapons. And so they're just a safer bet to use. And so now what we need to do, we need to get our pillager and our villagers up here. I think we're going to be using rails to get them clear up here in the sky and into their new homes. We've got the villagers in place. We've got the pillagers in place. We've got everything that we need for an iron farm. The build itself is not complete yet, but it is functional, as you can see. We've got some iron golems spawning and falling down. There we go. There's one now. And then they're just falling down into the streams. There's a bunch of them. Oh, and we've got a couple of escapees down here. I'm not sure where they came from, but I'm going to let them be for now and just let them clean up any mobs that might spawn down here. Let's see. Oh, yep, and in the time that we've just been building this thing, we've already got 9, 10, about 11 stacks of iron. And so this is actually probably going to provide us with more iron than we'll ever use. And so it looks like it's going to be a fairly productive iron farm there. So I'm going to pop back out and finish up the build, make it look a little bit nicer. But we have our functional iron farm. And our iron farm is complete and it is working really well. We almost have a double chest full of iron. Those guys keep coming in and dropping their iron for us, and so we'll have our unlimited supply of iron. Next up, I think we're going to be doing a tree farm next episode so that we can get the wood that we need to go with our iron, and then we can have hoppers and a few other things that we need. We did get quite a bit of wood when we chopped down all the trees, but we're going to do a tree farm as well so that we can have a sustainable source of that wood. And but that is a very productive episode this time around, and we'll be moving on. I do appreciate you all watching. If you like what you've seen, hit subscribe uh, and like. And y'all have a good one. We'll see you next time.